This is a Ford tri-motor.
Yeah, like that.
There's a control surface symbol. It goes to the wing. They're fine, they're fine. Wow, is that who takes off, Miss Fields? That's pretty awesome.
Made 199 Ford tri-motors. Lots of people ask how many Fords are remaining, and we tell them there's 8 we know about that can fly. They're in museums, but they only fly once or twice a year, but they can fly. This is the young man out there flying every day, earning his living. The Ford was remarkable when it came out. The first one flew at 27, and this is a 29. And that it was the first all-metal airplane manufactured in the United States where the passengers rode indoors. Before this, everything was open cockpit biplanes. And you can imagine we go in between, say, Chicago and Minneapolis in the wintertime? Nah. No scheduled service that way. It wasn't going to happen. So this allowed the major airlines to get started in this country with scheduled service. The paint job of this airplane is Eastern Air Transport, because that's the company that bought it off the assembly line. Eastern Air Transport became Eastern Airlines. So this is Eastern Airlines' first airplane. It's still going strong. Eastern Airlines is long gone. The other thing about the Ford, it's capable of cruising at 90 miles an hour. That doesn't sound all that fast today, but in 1927 it really was fast. That was moving. Especially when you consider the competition was, say, a Model A or a Model T Ford. And just tried to drive from here to, say, Atlanta, I don't know, 2 days, something like that, because 30 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour in dirt roads, it would take a while. Well, this could do it, because I flew from Atlanta here 4 days ago. It took me 2.5 hours. So technology was moving on in the 20s, and this airplane was state of the art. The Fords actually had a pretty short career, though, as passenger airplanes, because 2 things happened. The Great Depression came along right after they got this thing built, and second, Mr. Douglas came along with something called a DC-3. A little faster, more passengers, more aerodynamic, and so the Fords were relegated quickly to cargo roles. They weren't used for passengers, but of course since the middle of the 30s. And they're perfect for cargo. You can put any amount of weight in there that the airplane doesn't care. Just stack it to the gills and get off the ground and go. And they get in and out of short, rough runways. So most of the Fords disappeared out west, bush flying they called it. Some up to Alaska or down to Central South America, just disappeared that way. This particular Ford was sold by Eastern Airlines to Cubana Airlines in Cuba. So it spent World War II flying around the Caribbean, Central America, places like that. After the war, it ended up in Missoula, Montana, fighting forest fires for a company called Johnson Flying Service. They had 3 Ford Tri-Motors at the time. But they would use it to drop smoke parachute jumpers near the fires, and then afterwards it was really good at it, could land in those short mountain airports and get the jumpers and their equipment back out. So it did a good job there. We restored the airplane 20 years ago and put it back exactly the way it came from the factory with that paint job on it. And also the interior, there's black rubber matting on the floor, those leather seats, the wood paneling around the windows with pinstriping and electric lights. That was all there in 1929. Major difference is engines. Supposed to have 300 horse Wright engines, but we can't find those anymore. So it's got 450 horse Pratt & Whitney engines, which are available and reliable. They're really good motors. We love them. And if anybody knows what a Twin Beach looks like, these are the engines off a Twin Beach, and that's why we use them. They're really good. Now, just like a flight attendant, we're required to show you how to fasten a seatbelt. So pay attention, my buddy.
Yeah, I guess that's my job. Of course, we all use seatbelts, but these are just a little bit different than what you're used to. They still plug in the same way, click, but instead of having a little red button to push or a button on the lever, this lid lifts open, okay? Releases it. So click, unclick, and the other thing is on the end of on both sides there's a pole to adjust it. You don't have the little reel like you do in your car. Actually, you have to do this manually, so you click it and then pull the 2 sides to get it comfortable on your lap. Easy as pie. In addition to that, I want you to be aware that when we ingress and egress from the aircraft, that the door is quite low, and inside, forward to the first 2 windows, there's a bulkhead where the spar box goes through the structure of the airplane. You need to duck again. We've got a little padding up there, but it doesn't move, even with the padding. So you'll notice it. So anyhow, that's 2 things to be careful of. Just kind of duck your head. All seats are first class. You get a window and an aisle. So you can't beat that with a stick. Now for ventilation, at the forward edge of your window, there's a little slot, and there's a little door on the outside that opens and closes. There's a little black knob. Turn it toward you, I think it is. It'll give you closed air, and you turn it the other way, and it opens the door, gives you more air. So if you don't like the ventilation, turn that little black knob to adjust your ventilation. No smoking on board, and we do have a fire extinguisher, and it resides under the co-pilot seat where the captain can reach it real easily, just in case you are smoking, and he'll squirt you with it, so put you out right away. We don't plan on any water landings, but by law we do tell you that each seat does have a life preserver under it. So we decide to go to the ocean instead of just around the Charlotte, why, we want to go to the beach, we got to take the life preservers with us. That's about everything. Enjoy your ride. Go back in time. This is 1929, the early 30s. This was, like Colin was telling you, this is the class act of airliners, and no one flew in a closed cockpit before this. This is the first enclosed cabin machine that they had. You go to coast in 48 hours. They had one flight early on that you fly the Ford till night, and you get on a train, they night coach to the next stop, get on another Ford in the day, get off another train, night stop, and they take you to the next Ford, and the third Ford put you in Los Angeles to New York. So you go coast to coast in about 48 hours or maybe a little bit longer. To do that in the equivalent automobile, a Model T or Model A at that time, gee, it would take you 4 weeks if everything went well. So kind of interesting time. This thing basically makes the noise, it levitates, and you get this beautiful cruise through the sky. It's lots of time to look around. It's very, very fun. So hope you enjoy it. Come back again whenever you want to. We'll be here Sunday and Monday. Look around. If you also, when you get off, if you want to take pictures of this side of the airplane, feel free to stand out there and take pictures. And if you wish, reboard and take pictures inside. Any questions?
What altitude can I fly at?
We're going to go all the way up to 1,000 feet off the ground. We don't want to go so high, you know, like the airlines, like, oh, what's that down there, you know. No, about 1,000 feet will be, and that gives you a nice balance of in the air and see everything. We make kind of around this area, we'll see some of the sights, and we do go over Motor Speedway. Earlier today, they were driving some cars around, some practice laps, so some of us got some pictures of that. Let's go to the airplane then.
Awesome.